All right, we're back once again. Tim, New York Giants Straight Talk, powered by Online Big Blue LLC, bringing in another special guest. Well, he's special in some regards. Some Giant fans may remember him. He's Anthony Armstrong, wide receiver for the Washington, we'll say Commanders. Broke the hearts of Giant fans in 2011. We're still not. We are. I'm not going to say we're not going to talk about because we're going to talk about that. But here he is in the flesh. Anthony Armstrong, also on the Bleav Network and Bleav in the Commander. So make sure you check out that in the link below. Anthony, I just want to say thank you for coming on today.
I appreciate you. Thank you for having me. And it's always good to tap in, especially with other fans from the NFC East, So Giants fans, y'all done me good. I appreciate y'all.
You did us bad. And like I said, we were talking about it before we came on that I don't even really want to. I literally can still break that play down, but I'm not going to get into that first. I want to get into, though, how you got into the NFL. You played Division II in Texas. You were 27 years old when I believe when you first started in the NFL. So you kind of had everyone has a journey into the NFL. Usually it's a couple years of college and then you're in the league. But you literally went from Division II to. And I'm gonna just let you talk about that a little bit because I think it's a great story.
Yeah, man. So the fast version. My draft was 2005, so that was with Roddy White and those guys. And I actually got invited to the rookie minicamp with the Falcons. I get down there, and I am not down there but 24 hours. I failed my physical. I had a fractured wrist and torn scapholunate that I recently just got the cast off from having surgery in that previous January. So I wasn't ready to play ball. I didn't play football 2006. Rehab, finally played a little flag football, called the dude back. Shepley heard, he's down there in Atlanta now. I called him back. I'm like, hey, I'm ready. He's like, that's not how it works. You need some game tape. Man, I found the first agent I could. He knew a team that was down in Odessa, the Odessa Roughnecks, the Intense Football League. And I packed up my Acura and drove down there. We had practice in the parking lot. They had rolled the turf out because the hockey team was using the arena. And that's how it started. It started out down there. Told myself I needed to move up every single year, and I did that. Took a chance on a tryout. Ran a 4.2, and that started turning some heads. That got me into some Arena League options and the Dallas Desperados for a couple of years, and that led to going to the Miami Dolphins when that Bill Parcells, Jeff Ireland regime moved down there. So they remembered, the folks from those Dallas days, and then that got me in the door in the league. And after getting cut, bounced around a lot more, eventually found my way in Washington in 2009.
You played. Everyone that follows my channel knows that I worked for not only the Orlando Predators, but I also worked not recently. It was back in 2011 with the Philadelphia Soul. And the Arena Football League is just it's full. We were talking about it again briefly. It's full of stories.
Yeah,
and you have a story that about the Predators and Predators head coach, and we kind of know who he is around here. But I'm actually very curious to hear a Jay Gruden story.
Well, it's both Gruden. So on the path to the league, I had tried out, and they were trying to make this Arena Football reality TV show, and they sent us down to outside of Tampa where they do the Detroit Lions or Detroit Tigers do their spring training. They were trying to film this show, and we get down there and we did one practice, and then they said, hey, we lost funding. Everybody has to go home. People have flown in from LA and, Texas, Houston, New York, Chicago. They've gone nationwide to recruit players. They get down there for a day, and then they tell everybody they got to go home. Jay Gruden was out there with his wallet, handing out cash to guys. I think he gave me $20 to help recoup some of the losses because people had paid for flights that were meant to leave 3 days later. Right. So that's a good story about Jay Gruden. But when we played the Orlando Predators, I'm lined up on the wall and I heard this voice. It was very recognizable. He said, what kind of receiver are you? Are you a little scat back receiver? Are you a quick guy? Are you a deep down the field guy? Man, it was John Gruden. He's over there talking noise from the front row of the game against Orlando. I thought that was it was crazy to see him there. But yeah, both of the Grudens I've had a little interaction with both.
People know on my show that I worked for Tampa in 2003, the season after they won the Super Bowl. So I'm going to say that is probably the nicest John Gruden story I've heard because I've told John Gruden stories on my show. and they weren't that nice. They ended up with me almost crying in the lobby of the Celebration Hotel because I couldn't get something to work for the man. But before I get into today, the Commanders and the Giants today, I want to take you back to 2011, September 11th, opening night. Redskins, Giants take the lead 14-7 with less than 2 minutes, I think 2 minutes and 48 seconds left, if I recall properly. 2-minute drive. You guys go down the field. You score with 48 seconds left to tie the game. I felt from that moment that gave you guys the momentum going into halftime. I've said it before. I was not a big fan of you. I was not very happy at that moment. Do you remember that play? Because I'm just curious. Because like I said, to me, it really shifted the whole dynamic of that game. And you guys came out the second half, shut us down, and put up 14 points.
Man, I remember the few plays. I played just for a short time in the league. A lot of them came against the Giants. I can't lie. Like 3 of my touchdowns did. So I remember each play in each of those games. The one on September 11th, I know that was a tight back and forth, and then obviously the flyover is emotional. So that was big. I was excited for that 2011 season. Didn't finish like I wanted, but it started amazing. The play I remember from that game was like we're going into the end zone, and Rex threw this one pass, and I dove, and I caught it and like reverse rotated in the air. I got this amazing picture. Should have been a touchdown, but I think Antrell Roll like touched my leg with his pinky finger, and the ref called me down on the 2. But yeah, there was some great games against y'all. It was an accurate call, but it was like you got to give me the touchdown for the acrobatics of catching the ball.
Just
you get what I'm saying?
That. I understand.
Yeah,
I get
to be like, you know what? That's 6. Let him have. It's like the immaculate reception. Did it touch the ground? Nobody knows, but it's a great play in history. So that's how it should have been.
Oh, no, I agree with that 100%. But like I said, Roll was one of my guys. He was one of my favorite players on the Giants, so he could do no wrong. So there was no penalty. There was nothing there. I'm just going to give you that. There was nothing there. You were known, as you mentioned before, you had the capability of running a 4.2. So you what we would refer to as a speed guy. You what we refer to as a burner. We have a wide receiver on our team now, the Giants, Malik Nabers, and he had a very productive and efficient rookie season. Probably one of the best that we've seen in the Giant lands over the last, since Odell Beckham. But he had an issue, and it's not really an issue, but if you take a look at his YAC, his yards after the catch, he wasn't, especially not till like the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season. There really wasn't much YAC. He made the aerobatic plays. He got open. He did what he needed to do. But for just some reason, until basically the Indianapolis game, he just couldn't seem to get past the defender. He couldn't seem to get going into the second level. As a speed guy, how difficult is it really? Because like I said, I always think that, you catch the ball, you should go for 6. Yeah. But as a speed guy, as a wide receiver, how difficult it is to really put yourself in a position where you can gain those yards after the catch. And what can Malik do better, maybe to help him get a few more yards here and there?
No, I mean,
or was it the quarterback play?
Man, well, I shoot now. You start talking about quarterback now. That's a whole different story.
Well, we're going to get into that.
You made a change there, so that's good. Malik Nabers is a talented player. I mean, they got the ball to him every which way as they should. But the thing about the league is that the coverage is going to be tight, and he has the ability to make catches when it is contested and it's small windows to do that. So he's making those plays. A lot of times that YAC is going to come with number one. You got to be stronger. You think Jamar Chase, a little bit bigger build than Malik is. But you also think about scheming some things open, right? You can scheme your receiver to catch the ball where he has a little bit more space to get a little wiggle, right? You don't have to catch the ball with somebody's draped on your back every single time. So it's going to be some Brian Daboll that's going to help with that. There's going to be some quarterback play with ball placement, putting the ball in the position to help him get up the field quickly and make it a little bit easier for him. But look, the guy is talented. And frankly, if the play is saying, hey, let's let him catch the ball because he's an easy tackle, then that's some stuff in the offseason where you want to get stronger. You want to find some more ways to get away from tackles, break tackles, and create space for yourself. So I know he's going to be working on something. Those LSU receivers are dogs, and they are trouble, and they make plays. So he's going to be able to come back with a strong second season.
Well, we all know he is, and we all hope we all hope it's career games against Washington.
No.
Yes, it has to
no,
be.
sir. No, sir.
It has to. It has to. Well, at least one. I'll give you one game, and I'll take the Giant home game. I'll give you the one game in Washington.
Fair enough.
2025 for the Giants. Some people are hoping that it's going to parallel the success of 2004 for the Commanders. The Commanders had, when they went out and got Dan Quinn, I thought that was a strong move. I thought that was a great head coach for a young team. You used your available cap space. You brought in some veterans, what some people say, maybe that was a good plan, maybe that wasn't. And you really grew into something with the drafting of Jaden Daniels. Of course, in 2025, the Giants are bringing in Jackson Dart. They brought in Russell Wilson. They in some regards, I think we want to parallel what you guys were doing last year. If coming into this situation, I know how much you watch the Commanders because like I said, you covered them on the Bleav. What can Jackson Dart do to either get into the starting lineup? And it's going to be hard to replace Russell Wilson, but what can he show Brian Daboll that maybe will show him a little bit of something that, Jaden Daniels, I know they were on two different levels, but show something like maybe what Jaden Daniels showed Dan Quinn so he can get on the field sooner than later, Jackson Dart.
Man, it's going to come down to your ability to take the work from the classroom to the field and apply it quicker, right? If he's able to process things faster than you expect the rookie to, then there's going to be some nudges to say, put Jackson Dart in. I mean, he has a lively arm. He has some swag about him that's good enough for, he's going to get along well with Malik Nabers. They probably going to have a little touchdown celebration dance that they don't do against Washington, right? But, he has some swag about him that I think he could work himself into the lineup. If things get, to where him and Russell are, neck and neck, they may say, let's lean with the young guy. You got a fresh set of eyes. The league knows what Russell Wilson can do. They know who he is. They know his tendencies, so you can play to that scouting report. Right now, the same thing with Jaden Daniels. The league didn't know what to expect from the guy.
Oh, no.
They didn't know what to expect, right? And he was light years ahead of the rest of the league. So now the same thing is with the Giants. So I think that you're built up there. The quarterback was a position that was holding y'all back, right? And obviously going in Washington, we're like, yeah, it was definitely quarterback for us too. But it's been the quarterback play, right? For the past, 5-6 seasons, it hadn't been working. And now you got a fresh opportunity. You got a vet.
Right? 5.5 seasons.
5.5. It felt like 7. Hell.
Listen.
What used to frustrate me so much, man, is he'd ball against Washington.
He was the only team. He could only beat Washington at one point in time. That was literally the motorcycle. We couldn't win on primetime games, but you know what? When Washington rolled around, Daniel Jones was a player.
Yeah, man, you don't want to be in that position, but no, y'all, you have to assume it's an upgrade when you go with Jackson Dart. And frankly, if you follow what Russell Wilson does, he's going to operate. He's going to do the right thing.
Right. But
now, if you take some of that youth and say, well, I could actually make this throw, and you make those throws, it's going to turn some heads. Now you may see I say Brock Purdy type of a scenario. Not because, but obviously, Mr. Irrelevant versus first round pick, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We can go with the young guy over a proven veteran because he's showing us something. And I think Dart has that in his capabilities, he has that in his bag.
Washington had a culture shift last year or so. With everything that went on previously to last year, you brought in, like I said, I thought bringing in Dan Quinn was a stroke of genius. I really did. I thought that was just the right move at the right time for this team. But there really just seemed to be a shift in the culture itself. There just seemed to be something. So the Giants had always been dysfunctional since 2011, but we're hopefully going the right way with Brian Daboll. You seem to have found the success early with Quinn. And really, there's just kind of like a renaissance in Washington. I'm not saying it's going to be the early 80s. I'm not going to say it's going to be Gibbs. I'm not going to say you got Doug Williams or Mark Rippon or anyone or even Theismann going out there. But there just seems to be something different in Washington. Can a lot of that be, or most of it be attributed to Dan Quinn, or was there something else behind the scenes that really kind of changed this?
Man, I tell you, this is one of them situations where, if you're watching like Ocean's 11 and they're trying to pick the combination and all of the, chambers fall into place. This is what happened. It started at the top with ownership, then it went to Adam Peters, and then getting Dan Quinn, where initially, yes, it was, it had people that had a little bit of a pause. They're like, well, Dan Quinn, we wanted to get, the young guy out of Detroit. But when you looked at it, you unpacked what Dan Quinn had done, and you look at the coaching staff that he was able to assemble, I don't think any other coach was going to have that respect to get all of those former head coaches on board. Anthony Lynn, Ken Norton, Larry Izzo, top special teams coach. He's able to add in a lot of players. You got to think he's learned from the 28-3 Super Bowl. He's learned from that. So he has more to bring to the position. Exactly, right? So you got more in your experience bag, right? Where it's like, oh, this is the flashy new Ferrari, but you also like, man, this one here has been to some places, and they can bring a lot of knowledge over. But what I love the most about the hire is that it puts Dan Quinn in a position to do what he does best, and that's just to lead the men and lead his team. He didn't have to focus on the defense because he has Joe Witt Jr. doing this thing over there. He didn't have to focus on the offense because Cliff Kingsbury is one of the best play callers in the game, and he's been a former head coach. So he's got guys we can say, hey, Cliff, do your thing. All right, I'll chime in here or there, but he's handled the decision making on like fourth downs and things like that. But you don't have to focus on trying to go over here and navigate a young OC and then try to, no, he gets to be a head coach, leader of men, and this is a perfect scenario.
Well, when you have I'm not going to say perfect quarterback, because I'll never say that about any Washington quarterback. I don't care who's in the Hall of Fame or not. I'll say it about Sling and Sammy Ball, and that's about it. When you went out, Jaden Daniels last year had the rib injury, and it seemed to be a scary moment, not only for the franchise, because you kind of had that RG3 moment. At least we did around the Giant Nation, that you may be heading that way. You go out and improve the offensive line. You did what you needed to do to help protect him. You use your first round pick on another lineman as well. What are we going to see from Jaden this year? Is he going to try to be more proficient in the pocket? And when we saw that, it wasn't that he wasn't good. It's just it's not the same when he has that mobility. Are there going to be any? I'm not going to say restrictions, but are they going to try to work with him to be a little bit more controlled in the pocket, trust his line a little bit more, or are they just going to say, hey, listen, you just do what you need to do and be you?
Man, I do think that there's going to be a try to pull back and not run as much. Obviously, getting Laramie Tunsil, Josh Connolly Jr., bumping in Brandon Coleman, you think you have a more solidified offensive line. And frankly, those moves are to combat what y'all doing. Y'all got Abdul Carter, you got Brian Burns, y'all got Dexter Lawrence. Y'all have some dogs up front that want to go hunt. So we got to be able to protect the young king that's down there in D.C. So when you have Jaden in this situation, what I see is that you're going to have a combination of maybe how Deebo Samuel is unlocked. What does the running back room look like? Different ways to attack and get the ball out of Jaden's hands is one thing that you're going to see. Play calling comes into play. Are you going to be able to push the ball downfield more? Does Terry McLaurin get to play more of a true exposition? I think the way things roll out will be based on how this protection goes. If the protection can hold up, you're probably going to see a little bit more deep balls. I do. I think you're going to see an offense that maybe they're not on the field as many plays like they did last year where they had those 10, 11, 12. They don't have to do that as much if they're able to get 6 yards and then bomb somebody and get a touchdown and then get off the field and give it to their defense. So that's what I'm looking for, is him to be proficient from the pocket, throw the ball downfield with more efficiency and be able to take a few more chances.
I had 2 questions. And this question is good. You brought it up. Well, you didn't really bring it up. You mentioned the name Terry McLaurin.
Yeah,
missed all of OTAs. Held out of OTAs because of his contract situation. There is some talk and speculation in some media outlets that he's looking for $30 million a year. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's not true. Do you see a deal getting done before training camp?
I need to. I mean, I'm reporting live from Texas.
In the opposite direction. We hope not. We hope he holds
that. But I'm here down in Texas, and everything has been going swimmingly for the Commanders. On-field success. So we mentioned the coaching staff, et cetera, et cetera. If you have this situation looming over your head, that'd be the one gray cloud that I don't want to have when training camp rolls around. So you have to get this deal done. So my answer is yes. You see it over my shoulder. It says sign Terry.
Yep.
Sign Terry. Sign Terry. Get this deal done. If the man wants 30, then just get creative and find a way to give him his 30. Okay, maybe it's 2 years and $60 million and just make it all guaranteed. I just was watching something about that, how that may be taboo, but you got to find a way to pay this guy. He has been loyal to the soil, as they say. He should have been complaining and should have left many, many moons ago, but he did not. He's still here, and I think it makes sense to take care of Terry because it sets the tone of how you plan on taking care of the rest of your team moving forward.
Now, some will say that paying a 30-year-old wide receiver and paying him a large sum of money over even a short period of time may not be the best philosophy to build a franchise. But to your point, he has been the consummate professional in Washington. So
now, let me say that I'm gonna jump in and mind you, y'all saw what happened when you let y'all's best player walk away. Don't let this happen in Washington. And I know he's under contract for a year, and then you can franchise him. I don't want to play that game with him just because of who he is. You get what I'm saying?
No, I get it.
I think there's just a respect thing where it's like, look, let's get this done. Let's do it the right way. We can be real with each other. Like Terry knows he's gonna be 30. Like, you don't have to try to play games with that. You can't turn back time. But what you can do is take care of your dude, make it make sense. And we all understand that you're gonna have to draft another young dog. And I would love for Terry McLaurin to be there to teach him how to take over and be a leader for the team.
I'm just so glad you brought up Saquon Barkley because that wound still isn't fresh. I mean, 2,000 yards, Super Bowl ring. That
is anybody. That's any NFC fans. It's like we can push that button anytime. If need to get out of an argument, Saquon. Like,
that's the easiest way to jump out of the plane. taking a look at the New York from an outside perspective, and then this is a question I really want to get to. And from an outside perspective, for someone that's not in it as much as I am, in as much as the fan base is, when you take a look at the Giants from the Washington perspective, what do you see the Giants in your mind looking like in 2025?
Defensively, aggressive, getting after the quarterback, causing a lot of havoc. That in turn creates turnovers on the back end. I know there was a little youth in the secondary. I love the young fella Banks. He's a dog in his own right. He has the swag to play over there in the secondary. He's not afraid to go up against somebody's best player and best receiver. So I think the defense is going to be improved, right? When you don't have just one player to focus on in Brian Burns, now you got Abdul Carter. So if he's able to get after the quarterback as well, and hell, even Kayvon Thibodeau. So you got three jokers in your hand. I don't know how y'all did it, but you did. So the defense should be pretty aggressive. Now on offense, I do think it's going to come down to who's that quarterback, right? I love Russell Wilson, but I just think he's going to play a certain way, right? He's going to play a certain way. He's going to keep the ball. He's going to control it. You're going to be looking at some field goals and some eventual touchdown drives, but there may be a point where y'all need to make a change, and you need to be able to get somebody to throw a dart down the field a little bit. And that's where you could see if Jackson Dart's out there. Now I expect to see a little bit more fireworks. So, I'd say give me Russell Wilson.
You brought it up a little bit, but I just got to ask you before I let you go. How do you see the division shaking out in the NFC East? Who's number one? Who's on the bottom? What is the Anthony Armstrong pick of and we're not going to hold it to you much, but what is the pick? I got a feeling I know what it is. I got a feeling I know who number one is going to be.
Man, I think you still have to pay respect where it is, and you got to say Philly's number one. Washington's two, but it's close. 3 is going to be Dallas, and 4 I'm going to go with New York. You got the youth at quarterback probably, but you don't know what you're. But this division can shuffle, and we already know that we could just knock down this Jenga tower and get a whole new lineup here before long. The thing about Washington and Philly is that we don't play them until week 17 or week 16. You got to play all of this football, and then you got to play the toughest opponent, your hated rival, in the 2 of the last 3 weeks of the year. Like, that's diabolical. Diabolical. So many things can happen and so many things can change. So December is going to be exciting. But right now, as it sits, you got to give Philly the respect that it's due and put them at the top.
Anthony, I appreciate you coming on. Of course, Anthony Armstrong is in Bleav in the Commanders. I believe you have a co-host along with that.
Yeah, Scott Jackson. He's over there in Virginia Beach. So we link up right now, knocking out about one a week. So you can tap in. We got one with Bucky Brooks from a couple weeks ago. Jerry Ostrowski Jr. That was a real good conversation talking about some offensive line. So if you want to get down there in the trenches, go talk about that one.
We had Jerry on the other, I think about a month ago for like a 2-hour live stream. And I actually started listening to that episode you guys did. And I thought it was fantastic because he's a great guest. And to your point, listening to him to talk about offensive linemen. I already told him he should be an offensive line coach.
Man, I tell you, it's sometimes it's more fun to talk about it than have to coach it. Because I love watching the scheme of how the offensive line stuff works. Like when they're like, hey, we got an A block to 52 and we got a B block here, and then we're gonna do this. Like they're making all these calls to communicate. Like, hey, the center and the guard are gonna do a combo block. We're gonna push through 92 up to the middle linebacker. And they can't leave too soon, or else it's gonna create a gap, and then the guy's gonna get through. And it's a beautiful choreography to watch. The whole offense is, honestly, but that's just me nerding out on football.
Oh no, that's what we love to do here. And of course you can catch Anthony, like I mentioned before, on the Bleav Network, on Bleav in the Commanders. We always like to give our guests a final thought or a final say, or just, it doesn't have to be football related. It could just be whatever you want to end this final segment and this final thought, this pearl of wisdom. Man, and hopefully it's not Washington related, because I don't know. I don't think I can stand that.
I don't know. I'll do this. When I was talking to some folks yesterday about taking care of yourself so you can take care of business. Take time for yourself here this upcoming week. Pick yourself a day. This is my doctor's orders. Pick yourself a day. Enjoy yourself a day off. Do something for you.
You know what? And I think that's the best way to sum it up. And I do appreciate you coming on and spending time with us. And all I can say is, Washington Commanders, I'm saying 6-11.
Oh my God!
That's listen. I'm trying to
flip this disc.
I'm ending this with that because of the fact that your schedule is just as hard as ours. I'm not going to give you guys. I'm going to give you a little flack for the easy schedule last year, but you know what? You can only play the teams that are in front of you.
Hey man, look, they got these suckers lined up tough, but it's going to be all right. I'll see you when that 6-11 when that doesn't hit.
Yeah, we'll be waiting. But Anthony, again, I appreciate you coming on. And again, that's Anthony Armstrong. Bleav in the Commanders everywhere you find podcasts, and also on the Bleav Network. Again, I appreciate you coming out, and thanks again.
Appreciate you.